Distributive property. Enjoy today's math cartoon. Today's lesson is the distributive property. The Common Core standard is 7.EE.1. The distributive property is to multiply a sum or difference. Multiply each number within the parentheses by the number outside the parentheses. 3 times the quantity 2 plus 6. You could solve the parentheses first, or we could use the distributive property. Distributive property says takes 3 times 2 and then add to it 3 times 6. We can do the same thing with the next one. We have 2 plus 6 in parentheses and the 3 after the problem. We can still use distributive property and take the 3 times the 2, so we have 2 times 3 plus 3 times the 6 would be 6 times 3. For the next one, we're going to distribute the 6 times 7 and then distribute the 6 to the 4. But this time there's a subtraction problem in the middle. So you end up with 6 times 7 minus 6 times 4. For the last arithmetic problem, the 6 is after it. So we're going to distribute the 6 to the 7 and to the 4. So you end up with 7 times 6 minus 4 times 6. Now let's do the same thing with the algebra problems. For the first one, we have a times the quantity b plus c. So distribute the a to the b and to the c. So you end up with a times b plus a times c. For the next one, the a is after the parentheses. We're still going to distribute it to each term inside. So a times b plus a times c. For the third one, we have a times the quantity b minus c. So distribute the a to the b and to the c. So you end up with a times b minus a times c. And for the last one, a is after the parentheses, but we're still going to distribute it to each term. So you end up with b times a minus c times a. Pause the video at this time if you need more time to finish this part of the notes. Don't forget to write a question. I will be checking this in class tomorrow. Let's take a look at example number 1, using the distributive property. Find 15 times 110 mentally. You can use the distributive property to figure this out. We know that 100 plus 10 is 110. So you can take 15 times 100 plus 10. So we'll first take 15 times 100 and then add to that 15 times 10. 15 times 100 is 1,500. 15 times 10 is 150. When you add those two together, you get 1,650. Let's take a look at example 2. Miss Thomas gave 5 pencils to each of her 37 students. What is the total number of pencils she gave to the students? We can use the distributive property by first splitting up 37. 37 is 40 minus 3. So then we can take 40 times 5 minus 3 times 5. So we get 200 minus 15. 200 minus 15 is 185. So Miss Thomas gave the students 185 pencils. Try the quick check problem on your own. Try to think of two numbers that you can subtract to get 199 to set your distributive property problem up, and then solve the problem. Pause the video while you work it out, and then start it again to check your work. The quick check answer is 1,791. Pause the video to check your work and correct it if you need to, and then continue with the notes. Example 3, using the distributive property to simplify 11 times 23 minus 11 times 7. In this case, we're actually undoing the distributive property. We know that 11 times 23 minus 11 times 7 is the same as 11 times the quantity 23 minus 7. 23 minus 7 is 16. Then we're going to take 11 times 16 to get 176. We're not going to do example number 4. We can use the distributive property even when there are negative numbers involved, but you have to be extremely careful not to lose any signs. Let's begin with number 5a. We're going to distribute the negative 9 to the 2 and to the 8y. So we'll have negative 9 times 2 minus negative 9 times 8y. Next, we'll actually multiply. Negative 9 times 2 is negative 18 minus negative 9 times 8y is negative 72y. We should go ahead and simplify it the rest of the way, and you remember our rule of same change opposite, so we end up with negative 18 plus 72y. Let's look at sample B. We have the quantity 5m plus 6 being multiplied by 11. We have to distribute the 11 to the 5m and to the 6. So we end up with 5m times 11 plus 6 times 11. 5m times 11 is 55m. 6 times 11 is 66. So we end up with 55m plus 66. Try the quick check problems on your own. Do all of them. When you've finished, then go ahead and start the video back up and check your answers. Number 2, they raised $1,428. Number 3a is 210. Number 3b is negative 120. Number 3c is 35. Number 4a is 8x minus 12. Number 4b is 3x plus 12. And number 4c is 3x plus 2. Number 5a is 14 minus 6d. Number 5b is 18m plus 3. And number 5c is negative 15t plus 6. Pause the video at this time if there are any items you still need to copy down. Remember, you have to have a question for class tomorrow. See you tomorrow.